What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Aftermath podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Tenpenny. Unfortunately, my co-host, CJ Jones, will not be able to join us today, but he will be back. We're going to have another episode coming out tomorrow to keep a look out for that. But the reason we wanted to get this episode going today is today, not only are we're going to be brought to you by Arrowhead Life, but we are also brought to you by our new company we're working with, the KC Sports Company. Very excited to welcome them aboard. We've got a new logo, new merch. We're going to have a lot of fun still talking Chiefs. The plan is still to come out every Tuesday. Again, we're going to have a special episode Wednesday because there was some scheduling conflicts with CJ, but don't worry. He will be back for tomorrow's episode and we'll have that same fun that we always do. But we're going to kick it with me. Again, I'm your host, Christopher Tenpenny. We're not going to take too much of your time. Again, this is just kind of an introductory, get back into the groove of getting out episodes and talking some Chiefs football. And where I want to start today, it doesn't directly have to do with the Chiefs. Today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit more about the big news that was announced today and the fact that the NFL is going to have an exclusive playoff game along with a Week 16 game against the Bills and Chargers on Peacock. That's just really like it. The NFL, what makes the NFL so great is that it's very accessible to anyone. It's on Fox, it's on CBS, it's on NBC, it's on all the networks that you get. Whether you're still on cable, whether you're doing Hulu, whether you're doing YouTube TV, like wherever you're getting your, quote unquote cable to see all of your networks, the NFL's got a lot of games on there, and you don't even have to pay for NFL ticket and some of these other things they offer to see your team play, especially if you're a Chiefs fan. I'm a Chiefs fan in Oklahoma, and while, yes, I'm a little closer to the market than some of you in these other big cities, the Jacksonville game, week 2, is I think the only game I have to worry about not being able to watch the Chiefs until now, where, again, this doesn't directly affect the Chiefs yet. We don't know what playoff game. It's going to be a wild card game, but we don't know what playoff game it's going to go into. But now the NFL is starting to shift into this. There's going to be a few games that you're going to have to pay for or figure out where it's on or figure out what the heck is going on. And it comes off a little bit greedy to me. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, it just seems like the NFL knows they're king. And so the NFL is stretching their limits to see how much they can get away with to get into our wallets. And right now, I think they're starting to get close to that line. And, there's a lot of people, NFL can do whatever they want. People are going to pay. People watched Christmas was Rams and Broncos last year was one of the games, and a ton of people watched that game. So the NFL knows that you're going to watch. But everyone has their breaking point. Everyone has their limit. And I think, as we start to see more of these exclusive games, we're going to start to get into that a little bit. You're going to start to see people maybe turn away, especially the casual fans. There's plenty of you that just, tune in for the NFL season, watch the Chiefs, don't necessarily care about too much else what's going on, which is just fine. There's a million ways to be a fan. I think you guys are the first ones that are going to fall off, because why are you going to care about this thing that you have to spend extra time, money, and effort just to be able to figure out where they're on TV? No, that's the issue that the NBA and the MLB have. And so as the NFL gets closer, like that's a little alarming. Like, let's be real. Is the NFL's actual product so much better than those two other sports? Or is it just marketed better? Is it just, the schedules are shorter, so there's only some certain amount of games feel like you have to tune in? And the accessibility, again, like we just talked about, you can find it pretty much for free anywhere. You start to take that away from a little bit. Like, I'm a baseball guy, so I'm gonna use baseball. How many of you know a diehard Braves, Cubs, or Yankees fan that's from the Kansas City area, or just not from this area, from wherever area? That's because those teams were 3 of the first teams that were on TV a lot. The Cubs and Braves had their own network, and then Yankees came out with the Yes Network, very, not quite as early as those two others, but they were one of the first teams as well to have like a whole network, along with them being on the playoffs. But like, that's why those are fans. That's why there's a lot of fans of those teams. You could talk about market size and like, oh, that's why. No, I have like three grandparents that love the Royals. Don't get me wrong. They also love the Braves because that's who they were growing. That's who they grew up when and were able to watch every day. You start to take that away from the NFL and you're going to start to turn fans off. It may not be this year, it may not be in the next 5 years, but you continue to add these mediums to where you don't know. It's going to be like how you watch your shows. You know, you have HBO Max, you have Netflix, you have Hulu, you have Peacock. If you make sports that, I just don't see a way that that's going to be sustainable. I think the NFL is kind of testing that limit a little bit right now, and I would be careful. I wouldn't add too much more because you're going to start to irritate people. You're going to start to turn people off. And once you start messing with people's wallets a lot, they already have to pay for tickets and merch and all that other stuff that goes into being a fan. You start to add, you know, eight different TV deals to be able to watch your team throughout a full 18-week season, including playoffs. Which again, have the playoffs ever been exclusive only? Like in any sport? I know a lot of you probably aren't baseball and NBA fans a ton, but there's something about, nothing else on a Tuesday night except playoff sports. You're probably going to turn it on because it's accessible. The NFL starting to play in that, which please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think anyone's played in yet. It feels like they're flexing their muscles a little bit. And, I don't know. I don't know how sustainable that is and how much growth there is. Sure, fine. Couple games this season. You have Peacock, you have Prime, you have this playoff game. Okay. But if we know anything about the NFL, they love to continue to grow and they love to continue to change. They can't stand still. So if they see any sort of success, they're going to keep adding to it. They're going to, and it's just going to become more and more of a headache for fans. And it may start to be the beginning of the end is too big because it's still the NFL, it's still football. But you may see for the first time in a long time the interest in the sport to actually dip a little bit. So I'm interested to see how this play out. It actually frustrated me kind of a bit when I saw the news because what is the NFL doing? But you know what? They've made a lot of right decisions. So maybe I'm completely off on this. Maybe they're a little home run, but I just do not see it. I think it's going to frustrate a lot of people, especially a lot of the older generation. Well, it's going to frustrate everyone. It's going to frustrate the older generation. They don't know how to do all this. And it's going to frustrate the younger generation who already pays for all these other services. And it's the one they don't have. Now they have to pay for that when they're, most of us aren't, doing overly well financially. I just think it's bold. I could ramble about it all day, but very interested to see how this plays out. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back to talk about the Chiefs.
What up, KC? On the heels of yet another Kansas City Super Bowl victory, we have an awesome opportunity for you to broadcast your business to the local Kansas City market. We've created something called Kansas City Sports Company, which is a sports media hub for multiple live shows, all of which cover all the local Kansas City teams. Now, we have 30-second ad spots, 60-second ad spots, we have event sponsorships, studio sponsorships, show sponsorships, and much, much more. It's a great opportunity for you to start early with us and broadcast your business to a very dedicated, very enthusiastic Kansas City audience. Contact me or hit the Contact Us link on our website to learn more about this opportunity.
Welcome back to the Aftermath podcast. And we're going to get into a little Chiefs now. And let's go ahead and take a look at some of their weaknesses because this team is still really good. I mean, Super Bowl champs. There's just, it's fun as fans to kind of look what areas scare us. And there aren't really a lot of weaknesses on this team. I really like this roster. I really like what Brett Veach has done. I don't think there were a lot of decisions that need to be made as far as to get this roster much better outside of the draft and outside of the small free agency moves that they've made. But yet still you see a lot of people looking at this offensive line. And they're a little first they were hesitant after the Jawan Taylor signing. It's like, who's going to play right tackle? Are we going to have Lucas Niang? Are we going to have to draft someone, which the Chiefs ended up doing in the Morris kid out of OU? Like, what's the plan at right tackle? Then they start Donovan Smith. They say Taylor's going to actually stay at right tackle, and Donovan Smith is going to be slated at left tackle. Well, now people are freaking out because Donovan Smith's had some off the field issues, and he wasn't very good last year. So people were like, what are we going to do? Now one of the most important positions in the NFL at left tackle is a big old question mark. And I would just tell everyone on the offensive line, pump the brakes a little bit when it comes to worrying. Obviously, it's very important position group. The number one thing you want is Patrick Mahomes to be standing straight up back there. And the best way to do that is to give him protection. But I remind everyone right now that Patrick Mahomes is still 27 years old, and he's still pretty mobile. I don't know if you've noticed, but he still can move quite a bit. I'm not saying you want your quarterback running for your life all the time. But when you have the interior line that the Chiefs do, and you're going to feel good about one of the tackle spots wherever Taylor plays going into the season, with the way he played in Jacksonville, with the money the Chiefs gave him. There's expectations there, and I think he will live up to those expectations, especially staying at right tackle. So now you're just talking about Mahomes needs to worry about one spot, maybe. Again, that's maybe, because Donovan Smith in the past has been a really good ball player. Just coming off a down year, Chiefs were able to get him cheap just because of a lot of circumstances. And maybe he plays out. But let's say he doesn't. And let's say Lucas Niang gets hurt. And let's say Morris isn't quite ready to really be an elite tackle. So you're going to have a weak tackle spot somewhere, wherever they decide to do with Taylor in this scenario. How often have we seen Mahomes roll to his right and make magic happen? It seems all the time. It seems like every time he needs to make a play to his right, he does. I mean, literally the three best plays in the regular season: the flip to Jerick McKinnon for the touchdown against the Broncos, the spin move to Clyde, and the dive against Seattle where he dove for the pylon and was able to keep himself up. All those were plays to his right. We could go through his whole career and find a bunch more. So, like, again, I don't want this man to feel like he has to leave the pocket, to feel that he's the pressure and, the injury risk. I'm not saying that that's a good thing. I'm saying, though, if your left tackle is the weak link and that's going to happen the most often, it may not be the worst thing for the way Mahomes plays. He has this sixth sense of him that, like, even some of the greats that had it don't seem to have it like Mahomes does. Like, he just knows where everyone is at any given time, 99% of the time. And as a right-handed quarterback, having that, like, the blind side's scary, and we've seen it. We saw what happened to Alex Smith. We've seen what happened to quarterbacks that don't sense that pressure, and like it can be devastating injuries at time. I get why the left tackle is so important and why people are so scared about it. I'm just saying, if the other four, or for sure three, if you have three great linemen, even if they are interior, that's step one. And if you have a pretty good one that's going to play one of the other tackle spots, I don't think it's as big as a worry as Chiefs fans are kind of making it out to be right now. And part of that is because there aren't a lot of other holes. We're kind of over the wide receiver talk. The wide receiver talk's been, ever since they traded Tyreek Hill, and even a little bit before, the wide receiver talk hasn't really stopped. So, and there's still some concerns there. We can talk about that later. I'm sure CJ and I will get into that tomorrow. But like, we're a little done with the wide receiver talk. So now the next thing becomes the offensive line. And I don't know. I get their concern because, again, keeping 15 upright, it's the number one priority. But I just see there's too many options for them all to be abysmal. And I think they're all going to be just good enough with the strength in the other four, because I do believe in Jawan Taylor, especially at right tackle. He was so good for Jacksonville at right tackle last year. I think they're going to be able to overcome it. I think Mahomes is good enough to I mean, he's the best player in the world, and his strength is rolling out to his right when he has to leave the pocket. So I would let's not just worry about stuff just to worry about stuff. Now, if the games start and very early on, it's clear that, like, hey, this is the problem, someone's going to get hurt, of course, move off from it. But before the games even start, I think there's a lot more reasons to be optimistic about the way the offensive line is than pessimistic. So that's just where I'm going to leave it. Again, keeping it short today because we will have an episode come out tomorrow with the gang. Me and CJ are going to break down some stuff, probably go a little bit more into this draft class, the schedule, weaknesses, strengths, etc. So if you're interested in hearing more about sports, please, not just sports, Chiefs football, please listen to us tomorrow. Please listen to this episode and share with your friends. Again, we're brought to you by Arrowhead Live and the KC Sports Company. Please go check out both. The KC Sports Company is at KC Sports Company, I believe. I'm sure the description will be added if I messed that wrong, and our great editing team will be able to add that in. Also, feel free to follow me on Twitter. I'm at Tenpenny88, always tweeting about Chiefs football or Royals baseball. So please give me a follow, and love to hear from you guys. So, all right, I'll do it this time. Talk to you next time.